And even with the Beatles, I don't listen to the lyrics. I don't really care for the lyrics, but it's like the chord choices that they make, the bass lines, the guitar, like the guitar riff in a specific song, that's what gets me going. And so I've always been a musically inclined individual. I never, ever, ever, ever focus on the lyrics until go ahead.
No, you finish your sentence and I'll ask my question because they're related.
Welcome to part 3 of the Sip&Awe. You got your tea? Are you ready for the sippy?
I have my tea.
Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Thank you, Lord, for the day that He has made for you and me. 1, 2, 3. Did you ever meet Frank Schaefer, the guy where I got Sip&Awe from?
No. Well, yes, I've seen him and I've known it was him, but I've never had a one-on-one conversation with him.
Gotcha. I was just curious.
Like I saw him at Sean's wedding, I think.
Oh, okay. Was he at Sean's wedding? He was at my wedding.
Oh, okay. Was he also at Sean's wedding?
I don't think so. He was invited.
Because I didn't cross that back. Oh, okay. Then I didn't meet that Frank. I met a Frank.
Oh my gosh.
Some guy named Frank.
Yeah. Yeah, he was at my wedding. He was like one of the few people that was like, oh my gosh, he actually showed up to my wedding. Yay. I was so happy to see him.
Yay.
I was so excited to see him that I wasn't supposed to be seen yet because we were about to walk down the aisle and stuff. And he was in the lobby just sitting there. And I was like, Frank. And so I gave him a big hug and everyone like saw me. And it's like, oops. Because I was asked not to go in the front foyer, but I was just too excited. I was fired from my wedding. But hey, I quit. I'm just kidding. But Emmayi, something that I would love to talk about real quick. And you don't have to get into detail, but your biological father is not necessarily in your life.
Correct.
So he's alive.
Yes.
He's not dead. Okay.
He's not dead.
Would you like to share on what happened or why he's not in your life and where he is?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. He made some pretty serious mistakes that landed him in prison.
Okay.
And it was one of those things like he sits and he acknowledges that they were mistakes today, and he's fully aware of the consequences and content with that. He's a very reasonable guy, also a believer in Jesus. And so it was one of those where he messed up and he knew he messed up. And it wasn't the type where he like reported himself as like, I'm doing something wrong. It was he got caught, which is in general neither here nor there. So he has been in prison since I believe 2002. Wow. He had a 25-year sentence, so in about 3 years his time is up. Wow. It was one of those things where it didn't really affect me because in 2002 I was a 1-year-old baby. Maybe I was walking, maybe I was a toddler, maybe I was toddling around, but I was little. And it was before I received the personality update or memory. So it was one of those things where it was harder significantly on my mom based on what happened and my older brother because his dad just went to prison. Right. But my mom, she was a single mom of us for a little bit, but she ended up meeting my stepdad, who for all intents and purposes, and what I will call him for the rest of the podcast, is my dad. Pretty quickly, which worked out really well. The speed of which may have resulted in some of the issues that they dealt with in their marriage. But it was one of those things of like, I'm not here to critique him on that. My dad has been in my life since before I had memory. So I've only ever called him dad. I only call him my stepdad to people who get confused when they see my very white stepdad and my very white mom. And I point out, especially if it's a time where I've spent a lot of time out in summer and they're like, are you adopted? I'm like, no, he's my stepdad. And then I explain that he's been around for as long as I can remember. So he is my dad.
Yeah. So your biological father, do you talk to him?
Not frequently. Okay. He calls me and then he often calls me when I'm busy and or I don't make time. It's something that I need to work on improving.
Okay.
But yeah, so he is able to call me. I can email him, which I've done occasionally to send him, like I sent him pictures from our wedding and stuff like that. Right. But we do not talk much, no.
Okay. As you were growing up, how did your mom kind of communicate like, hey, your stepfather is not your dad. Your dad's actually in prison. Was that
Mm.
ever confusing for you, or what did you? No, okay.
No, I accepted it in a very matter of fact way, which kind of makes sense given me.
Hmm.
But there was a like there were times where my older brother and my mom would go visit him in prison because it was important for my older brother because he remembered him. I was like, "What's going on?" And then one time I got to come along, and I was like, "Cool." And then they kind of explained it to me, and I'm like, "Oh, that doesn't make sense." Anyways, and then I just went home and went about my life.
Yeah.
And as I got older, I was like, "Okay, I understand more now."
Mhm.
And it's one of those things where, and this isn't something I do intentionally. This isn't something I do to be mean. His side of our family, like, all lives in Virginia.
Okay.
Um, and they know we exist, my brother and I, and they want us to be part of their lives. And so they communicate and reach out and such. And for me, it was one of those things like, you're a fictional person. Like, not actually, not saying that they don't
Yeah,
exist,
for
but
sure.
it's just like, you don't touch my sphere of influence. Um, and there's really no active way for us to build a full familial relationship. So I don't reach out or talk to them,
Hmm.
which is unfortunate, uh, only in how they received it. I still stand by the decision. And should I learn later on that God's like, hey, that was wrong of you, I'll be sorry and I will deal with it. Um, because again, they're just not here. And so I didn't fully see as a younger person the necessity of investing in those relationships. They ended up thinking that I didn't like them, which isn't the truth. It's just like I don't know them and don't really desire to.
For sure. That's kind of funny you said that. I have the same exact thing with my dad's family,
Mm,
because they're there and I don't necessarily talk to them. I don't resent them. I'm not mad at them. I don't know them, and so there's not a desire to reach out and be like,
right.
"What's up, son?" It's just like, "Yep, you're there, cool," and I'm
Hmm.
just gonna kind of do my own thing. Um, and yeah, cool. Um,
Yeah.
so do you talk to your older brother frequently?
Pseudo frequently. There's a lot that's going on in his world a lot of the time. And so we do talk occasionally, and spend some time together occasionally. I say this, my family is not a tight knit one.
Okay.
My family, um, I say this, and this makes some people sad, and so I hope it doesn't make any of our listeners sad. My family has roughly the relationship of estranged roommates. Like, we all used to live together and hang out with each other. Now we don't.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we're all roughly content with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a one to one. It's not like all the time I'm like, man, this is great. Never see my brother or my sister or my younger brother, and I hang out with my parents occasionally because I do hang out with my parents a decent amount. It helps that they're only a mile away.
Yeah.
No idea where certain family members are, so
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those where, like, that's the decisions we've made and where we've come. My family grew up in the church, um, and so we run into a detail where even amongst people in the same family who grow up in a church, your convictions can be different. And when your convictions are different, you end up going different pathways. And so, for example, my older brother and my older sister, when we first got saved, a lot of Christian families do this, and it's a very good thing, but it can have very intense consequences that should be monitored, I think. And that is, we immediately got rid of anything secular in our home when we first got saved, and it's that the good old brand new Christian detox.
Yeah.
That meant we got rid of like all of our video game systems, all of our secular movies, all of our secular music, and that was brutal
Yeah.
for at least my older brother. I didn't really care. I was 3. Well, no, I was
Right.
5.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it was one of those where I was like, yeah, I'm already into this. Like, a 5 year old, as a 5 year olds today are pretty good at games. As a 5 year old then, I was not. And so I was like, I'm outside climbing a tree. I don't really care.
Yeah.
You can't take away my tree.
For sure.
Um, but it was rough for my older brother, and so he carried that hurt with him. And I don't think he fully expressed it.
Hmm.
And so it was one of those where he carried it with him. And so my brother has for a long time pursued what the world can offer him because he feels like it was all taken away from him.
Mm.
And so he's like, I want to get back what was mine, in quotes.
Hmm.
And my older sister, she grew up between 2 different households. And
Okay.
so the rules were different at her dad's house, very secular house, than at our house. So it was one of those, we've seen this happen with several kids in our church. And I'm pretty sure you've probably seen it happen over time as well,
Mhm.
where you have a kid or a student or something a friend in your life that they are still dependent on their parents, and one parent has strict rules that often are aligned with Christian beliefs, and the parent is trying to teach the child and train the child up in the way they should go, and another parent, especially in split household situations, has less rules, and so that student is not at the full maturity to realize these rules are good for me. And
Yeah.
sometimes they are, and it's wonderful. But then they are like, I'm just going to go skadoot over to that place
Mm-hmm.
and hang out there. But then it's like, and then my wife and I have noticed this with like 3 or 4 families. We check in a little later and they're like no longer Christian and they're dealing with all the normal worldly stuff. And it's like, I get it. And I'm not to say you can't choose that. However, this is the trend I've seen over years. Please. And so for my sister, she made that decision and she went and lived with her dad. Um, and then they moved out to the East Coast. And so she was over there for a while, came back. My younger brother made the same decision because he is my younger stepbrother. And his mom had less rules or different rules than our house. And so they split for that reason. Um, and so it was hard to watch happen, but it was something that's like at this point, I can see how that would happen very easily.
For sure. Yeah. And even too, I didn't grow up in a Christian household, but I did grow up in a house that was divided in the sense of like rules by parent. So
Yep.
when I was a heathen and I would sin, my stepfather would have a really nice work schedule because whenever he wasn't home, I could just simply kind of just do whatever I wanted because my mom didn't necessarily care. And so I didn't have to do my homework because my stepdad wasn't home. And then when he would come home and then I would get in trouble, of course he was doing his job. He was being a parent. Okay.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
I ran into this stupid bad habit of like, oh, I hate you so much. You're just being a jerk. He's like, no, I'm not.
Me,
You're
me, me, me,
failing.
me.
You're failing in school, idiot. And
It's like, no,
so
you want to be able to pay rent in 10 years, so you
right,
need to do this now.
like, no, you're being a diptard. And I'm like, no, you're just being a jerk. And so yeah, my house was not stable in the sense of whenever my stepdad was out at work, I could just simply just kind of do whatever I wanted. And I
Mhm.
remember I used to partake in the marijuana, and and so I remember it was a rule that hey, you can do that. It's just not welcome in the house. I was like, deal. Guess what? Never home. I was always at my buddy's house, and it was bad, and I'm really blessed that I turned out the way that I did because
Mhm.
uh it just I didn't really grow up in my home life wasn't hectic. It wasn't like because I've heard some crazy stories, and
Right.
yes, I've seen some things that a child shouldn't see. I've dealt with some things that a child shouldn't have dealt with. But in the at the end of the day, I was super blessed. I was always taken care of. I always had food.
Right.
We never struggled financially. Yes, my dad lived in New Jersey while you know, and
Living on the
so
other side of the world.
right. So do I wish that I had more moments with my dad? Absolutely, but I never hold that against him.
Right.
And what's cool, that was one of my first moments with the Lord. So I went to church for the very first time when I was 17 years old, and they were in a series called The F Word.
Mm.
And they were actually on the news because they're like, how could a church talk about the F word? And the F word was forgiveness. Anyways, and so my very first night
People
was
going, they
driving by
said
the
it.
F word. What? Bah. And so uh, my very first time at youth was small groups. And so they were like, who is someone that you can forgive? And the first person was my dad because he wasn't in my life as much as I wanted him to. And
Hmm.
so my senior year comes around and me and him are driving around and he was like, bro, like, I'm so sorry I wasn't in your life as much as I wanted to. And I'm like, dude, I like that. It's totally fine. First off, I've been set free. Praise Jesus. And two, the fact that you're here, the fact that you flew down for my graduation says everything. So yes, you weren't in my life
Right.
as much as you or I would have liked, but dude, you're still in my life. We still talk, and that's something to
Hmm.
be grateful for. And so yeah,
Right.
man, that's powerful. Um, do you have anything to add before I ask you this question that has nothing to do with what we've been talking about this entire
Huh.
time?
I think we can go to the question, and if anything, I'll come back to it in any split seconds we may
Okay. I had to write it down because I didn't want to forget. A really
have.
core foundational part of our friendship, Maya, has been 21 Pilots.
Yes.
What do you think of their new song? Hey guys, I wanted to stop real quick and say thank you so much for tuning into this episode. I want to challenge you with something. If you know someone in your life that you know that they would like this episode, stop what you're doing and send it their way so that we can keep growing the Sip&Awe family. All right, thank you for sharing, and let's get back to the episode.
Overcompensate?
Yes.
I enjoyed it. I listened to it while I was working out. I didn't dissect it by any measure. I liked the reference to Bandito. I really liked that. When it came back into that song, I was like, yes, this is marvelous. But I've really only listened to it the one time, so I don't have a full diagnostic on it. What are your thoughts?
I don't like it.
Oh, really?
I think it's trash. Yeah,
Okay.
let me just kind of give you the breakdown. The music, 15 out of 10. So good. The introduction,
Banger,
bro. The time change, dude, 20 out of 10. So good. And then he starts rapping, and it just kind of goes downhill. And I don't like it. Like, it felt rushed.
I'll have to give it another listen.
It felt.
I only listened to it once.
It feels weird. It feels like the only way that I can describe it is it feels like the forbidden fruit. It's good, but it's bad. Like, I'll listen to it, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is so good. And then he starts rapping. And I'm like, I can't get into it. Like, it's just so bad. So those are my thoughts. Like, and so I was a little disappointed. And so I hope that the album is good, because something that I've noticed is as they produce content, I like less things. So Trench, could listen to the whole thing front to back. I love Trench. Blurry Face, love it. Vessel,
amazing.
Dude, their first album,
I really like.
Yes. And then so Scaled and Icy, I like the majority of it. There's some songs that I don't like. And then this new song, I was like, oh, what happened? Like, what happened?
So you might experience this as another musician. This is fun for me because I wasn't a musician when we met, but I am now. Do you, when you listen to a song that you like, do you like the whole song, or do you like maybe two or three specific moments in the song and or the whole song? Because for me, what'll happen is I will like very specific parts of songs or very specific changes in turns. Okay. So when I'm listening to like, for example, a song I really love and really enjoy from Scaled and Icy, Redecorate, my favorite part is just at the end of the rap, where it's like, if you listen under the door, can you hear him sing? And then it cuts into the chorus. Favorite moment in the entire song. Okay. Like little things like that. That's what I find. It is very amusing because I'll tell my wife, and she's like, oh yeah, that is a cool part. But it's like, I don't want to annoy you with this, but I do break these down into pieces. And this is the piece that I like. And this piece is just filler.
Yeah. Do you find yourself liking the music side of it more or the lyrical side?
If the lyrics are really clever, I will like the lyrics, but I am mainly a musical side guy. Cool. I really like really clever poetry. And so it's funny because did you have to read Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven in high school?
No, but funny that you mentioned that. I saw a play yesterday and they did it, and I thought it was terrible.
Oh, really?
I thought The Raven, like they did like 5 short stories and The Raven was one of them. I thought it was terrible. Maybe the way they did it was bad, but dude, I thought it was so stupid.
So anyways, I like it because the construction of it just flows so well. It is so well written in a way that I couldn't appreciate as a 16-year-old. And so I was listening to it again because I just had it played on Spotify, and it was marvelous. It was really well written poetry. So sometimes I am a lyrics guy. More times I am a music guy. Like the song Dusk Till Dawn by Zayn and Sia. Very fun song. Can't really give credit to the lyrics, not because they're bad or anything. It's just I don't pay attention to that. Right as the chorus hits, there's one noise that introduces the chorus that I love, and that's the main reason I listen to the song.
See, I am not a lyrical guy, like ever. And I am so musically just in tune. There's some parts, like for example, the new 21 Pilot song, that time switch, like it's so good I want to punch somebody. Like that is like my favorite part. And then Redecorate, the beat, like the way it opens and like the humming that's happening within the beat and like it's so good.
Yeah, it's well made. I really like Redecorate.
So I really focus in on intricate parts of the beat. A lot of people might not know this, but when it comes to 21 Pilots, I do listen to a lot of instrumentals because Their lyrics are great, but it's the beat. Like when Tyler Joseph makes a beat, it's so good. Like
Just
for
hits.
Nico and the Niners, there's a piano in the back that goes da 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 da
Hmm.
da, and that's so clever. Like why did he add that? That is so good. And
Right. It's just
even
an
with
added piece to layer.
Absolutely. And even with the Beatles, I don't listen to the lyrics. I don't really care for the lyrics, but it's like the chord choices that they make, the bass
Mm.
lines, the guitar, like the guitar riff in a specific song, that's what gets me going. And so I've always been a musically inclined individual. I never, ever, ever, ever focus on the lyrics
Do
until I
you,
go ahead.
no, you finish your sentence and I'll ask my question because they're
Okay.
related.
And until I really got saved, because someone who does that well is Charles Menke. He was like, "What are they talking about?" And I'm like, "I don't really know.
Yeah.
I don't really pay attention." And so one person I don't listen to anymore is Billie Eilish. I loved her
Mm.
music, and she
Yeah, it's
came.
so well made.
It's so good, well produced. The beats are awesome, so catchy.
Hmm.
And her new album came out, and
Mm.
ironically, it was the catchiest song. Okay, the beat was just like it was just so groovy, so good. I read the lyrics. It was garbage. She essentially talked about that God came down as a woman and had a three-way with her. That's what
Oh,
the
wow.
song's about.
Rough.
And that really ticked me off. And I was like, I can't do that anymore. And so, yeah,
Fair.
I don't listen to Billie Eilish.
You
Okay,
ever
what's your
listen to
question?
John Bellion?
No, I'm not a fan.
Ah, come on, man.
He
So
does.
he's probably up there in my favorite secular artist right now.
Okay.
And it's mainly because the way he designs his songs is awesome. So
Okay.
in the album The Human Condition, so fun fact, actually, I only got into John Bellion because Charles showed me a song of his called Ma's Joint, which is actually a really, really sad song, but it's also a really good song.
Okay.
And it was I don't know if it's a true story or not, but the premise is he's writing a song about his mom who had to be a mother to her mom because his grandma had dementia.
Hmm.
Um,
Dang.
and so like the catch of it is that when the grandma meets God, he'll tell her all about it, how my mother was a mother to her mom. And I'm not terribly emotional about it because I'm not, but my grandma had dementia and my mother had to do that. And so I
Wow.
showed my mom the song and she really loved it. She did cry, which makes sense given the situation. But that's the first song that I heard from him that wasn't All Time Low.
Okay.
Um, All Time Low is a masterfully designed song, and I don't sing all the lyrics
Yeah.
when I do sing it because I'm like, that's a bad confession over my life. But
Yeah.
I really like that album, The Human Condition, because the last song, Hand of God, isn't theologically accurate. So don't listen to it thinking Emmayi supports this theology because it's not exactly how I view it. But it's masterful because it references almost every other song in the album in a very beautiful way in that
Hmm.
last one.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool. His song Guillotine is also really good, really
Cool.
fun.
Maybe I'll try it out. He did a Switchfoot cover, and it was terrible.
Yeah,
I thought it was
it's
so
nowhere near
bad.
it's nowhere near as good as the original Meant to Live,
Oh,
but I like
dude.
how he sings it.
Hmm.
Um, but I would prefer to listen to the Switchfoot version of Meant
Yeah.
to Live.
Whenever that came out, I was like, dude, John Bellion's terrible because that song's
Switchfoot
terrible.
did a cover of one of his songs, "Stupid Deep,"
Okay.
on one of their
Okay.
cover
I'll
albums.
have to check that out. But yeah,
"Stupid Deep's" a good song that's almost Christian.
it's almost there. It's not quite, but
It's really interesting because it's one of those things where I'm really eager to get to heaven and figure out the differences in everyone's theology
uh,
because his songs, like there are very heavy Christian overtones.
mhm,
Um, and it's also in the same songs where he will like swear a bunch and stuff. And I'm like,
yeah.
I get it. You have different belief system than I, and I'm not about to come here and say you're wrong and you don't love Jesus. It's just confusing to me.
Hmm.
Um, but my wife and I have talked about this. Our convictions are designed stricter than most, but
Hmm.
that's in part because we believe God intends for us to be teachers for a good amount of time.
Yeah.
And so there are some things that we're like, no, we're not even going to come near that. We're not going to touch that with 29.5 foot pole. Even though it is within our ability. Like Paul said, all things are permissible, but not all things are profitable.
Right. I think that's kind of funny that you said that because King's Kaleidoscope,
Mm.
apparently he is a Christian artist, or was. I don't know where he stands right now. But anyways, essentially what happened is when I was in high school, he was a pretty big Christian artist. And then he came out with an album and it just within like the first track, he just drops the F bomb. And everyone's like, oh,
Oh, yikes.
what happened? What are you doing?
Right.
Yeah, so I never really got into King's Kaleidoscope because of that. But yeah, another person that I absolutely adore, Emmayi, so much. And I'm just going to preface it with this. I don't really listen to a lot of secular music anymore because it was just
Right.
personal conviction. And
Mm-hmm.
I want to give Jesus more of my everything music,
Mm-hmm.
movies, all that stuff. I still do dabble a little bit in some secular music, but I have a different
Mm-hmm.
conviction level. Like I don't really do well with
Right.
cussing. I didn't do well with like, yo, I had sex with a girl last night because that's just what I do, and I got money. It's like, no,
And yeah, yeah,
I don't do
no.
that. Anyways, so John Mayer,
Mm,
hallelujah, that man, so clever. Fun fact: I like some of his songs, but I love John Mayer when he plays live because he'll take a
mm,
song and then he will just break out in a 10-minute solo in the middle of it live. And I'm like, oh my gosh,
mm,
it's so good. And he's one of the best guitar players ever. And I think he just has a bad rap because he just kind of has a really weird history with like women. And so he comes
mm,
off as like a jerk and no one really likes him. But
right.
he is the bomb.com. I absolutely adore John Mayer and his guitar playing. So
Mm. The creativity in live music is always an awesome thing.
so good. A live show will change your life. A good live show will change your life.
Hmm.
Because I've seen some terrible live
Yeah.
shows.
So, for example, I wasn't a 21 Pilots fan until February 4th, 2017.
Okay.
Um, I had a buddy who was, and he invited someone to go to a concert with him, and they couldn't make it, and so I got invited instead. And this was during Emotional Roadshow.
Mm.
Um, Marvelous concert, absolutely wonderful concert. And I was listening to it, I was like, this is kind of fun. And then I proceeded to memorize every available song off of all of their albums.
Cool.
Enough so that they are stored in muscle memory. If you
Yeah.
play almost any song younger than Blurry Face, including Blurry Face, I will know the lyrics.
Nice.
Um, even a lot of Regional at Best, which isn't in their official albums because it got dropped when they went to Fueled by Ramen.
Right.
But a good concert will change some things. So I've seen them at Emotional Roadshow and I've seen them for Trench twice.
Nice.
And both were really fun, but it is changing.
Yeah, dude. I saw a band called Rainbow Kitten Surprise.
I
They're
like a couple of their songs.
yeah, their music's groovy, but them live, dude. Oh my gosh. Okay, and then here's another band. Okay, in closing, so there's a band called Dirty Heads. Okay, they're not Christian. They're like a
Mm,
reggae kind of band. Really
right.
good. A band opened for them called Sir Sly. Dude,
Okay.
the singer, his name was Landon. I got to meet them. He walks out in a teeny weeny beanie, wasn't covering his ears. He had long hair. Okay. He had a
Mm.
crew neck sweatshirt, sweatpants, and he was barefoot. And I was like, what the heck is this guy's up to? Like, his music's going to be terrible. It's a 3-man band. They were phenomenal, way better than Dirty Heads. They took the show from me. Their music was good. Their crowd energy was amazing. And
Mm,
that concert honestly changed my life. They were so
right.
stinking good. And so, in closing, a live concert will change a good live concert will change your
A good
life.
live concert.
Yes, but Emmayi, thank you for coming onto the show.
Absolutely.
I was gonna ask you, but I did a thing where it's like, hey, if you want to be a guest, do these 3 things, and you get to win being a guest, and you're the only one who did it. So I thank you for that.
Absolutely. I was like, I want to be on this. So I was like,
Yes.
I'm gonna be here.
Right on. Well, it was a blessing for you to be on here. Um, and I cherish our friendship and I love your story and I love you and your wife's story about how
Mm,
she kind of sacrificed your guys' relationship for a year and she waited for you and you waited for
right.
her and it was just your guys' testimony really inspired me. And so I love you, dog. You're one of my besties.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate you and I hope you
I
have an
got to get back
amazing
down there.
you got to come back down, dog.
I want to.
Let's
I,
go.
for me, ideally would be in a pseudo permanent sense of like living there is God's instruction, but I at least want to visit.
Yeah. Dude, you gotta come visit. And I'll give you like a
Mm,
schedule or like a weekend where I'm free. Just come down. I got a guest bedroom. with your name written all over it. You can come hang out and do what Jacob did. Jacob Zirkle came down, as people saw, because his
Oh,
episodes
nice.
will be posted by the time this is posted. He came down for the
Yep.
podcast. Come on down for the podcast, mate.
Nice. Nice. He's a lot closer than I am,
He
but
is.
nice.
How far are you? Like, if you were to drive,
14 hours. Well, from you, it might be 14 and like
yeah, I'll add 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it's not terrible. It's a drive I've done so many times at this point.
for sure. Yeah, I going home is a 12-hour drive for me, so I'm pretty used to it. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Sip&Awe. You can now listen on Spotify and Apple Podcast. If you're tired of your wardrobe, you can now get merch. The link will be in the description below. Give it up. Oh, excuse me, I burped. Give it up for my buddy Emmayi. Ooh, 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 ooh. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Emmayi, we love you. I love you. And I'll keep in touch, my man.
Absolutely.
All right. Bye, Emmayi.
Bye. Sipping.
Sip&Awe.